Gentlemen, which brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
Well, that's right, LT. This is Tim. This is New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. That message goes out to a certain segment of Giant fans who just don't get it. The preseason game against the Detroit Lions is over. The Giants had their first opportunity to take the field it's basically a glorified scrimmage for your second, third, and fourth teamers. You did have some potential starters out there early on, and some starters out there early on. And it was an interesting mix. I'm not going to read a lot into this game because of the fact that it was basically, in some ways it's a glorified scrimmage. It's not as bad as like an NBA all-star team, but you basically got a bunch of guys that are either going to be on the Home Depot team or on the practice squad that are playing, 3/4 of this game. So as an assessment of talent, if you've had a bad game, I'm not going to take too much stock into it because there could be some reason. And if you had a great game, I'm not going to take too much stock into it because you're probably playing against second and third and fourth teamers. So I'm not going to get too high. I'm not going to get too low. It is what it is. And you got to be even. You got to be even keel about these preseason games. Now, if you want to go right off the bat, I don't know what if you take a look at the Giants' depth was always going to be an issue. The roster we have right now is still reeling from some bad contracts, and we don't have the draft capital, the salary capital that we need to fill out this roster completely. So you could see that the second level of depth between the Giants and the Lions was totally different. The Giants' depth is not the same as the Lions' depth. The Lions' depth is pretty deep. They got some players on some guys that are going to be second and third teamers. They got some guys. Not saying the Giants don't, but there is a gap between the backups between these two teams. Now, it may not be indicative of the score, but it's indicative of some of the plays. And let's just start with the Giants' offensive line for a minute. Oh Lordy. All right, can we just cut Matt from Connecticut? Can we just cut him now? Corey Cunningham, can we just cut him now? I felt bad for Tyrod. I felt bad for Tommy DeVito at times because these guys, the Detroit Lions defensive ends and linebackers, were in that backfield sometimes before you could even blink. And they were getting pushed into the backfield, our offensive linemen. They were getting pushed. Now, JMS... John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. He played well. He played well enough. He held his own. He did what he needed to. He did what we thought he could do. And I'm more excited the fact that he got in some game reps than against what the competition was. Because it's going to be a little bit different in week 2, because you're going to probably see in week 2 of the preseason, because you're going to see a couple more starters. But Big John played well. I thought he played well. I thought he handled his position well. I thought he handled his assignments well. He didn't get pushed into the backfield too often like he did against Dexter Lawrence on those one-on-one drills. I think he held his own. I think that's a good sign and a good start. But the depth on the offensive line is not there. I mean, I believe the Giants should just start scouring the waiver wire to bring some guys in because it's just not there. I mean, it was bad. It was bad at times. I mean, poor old Matt. He looked like a turnstile at one point. And at one point, he got spun around and tried to come back and make the play. And I was like, dude, your man already beat you. And this is a guy that's probably going to be a third team or a Home Depot. So the depth on the offensive line should be a question right off the bat. The second thing is one of the things I was concerned about, but I'm not going to be overly critical right now, is Eric Gray. 6 rushes, 5 yards, 1.8, longest run is 6. Also returned punts and also returned kicks. 20 yards on a kick. Longest was 22. 2 punt returns, average of 4 yards. Longest, of course, was 4 yards because you take the 8 plus 4, blah, 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 blah. I didn't see the burst. And I said this when we drafted him. I was concerned that he was not going to, and I said it in the video yesterday, I wanted to see if he had that burst to get through the line. It's his first game. He could have been tentative, which is fine. This is why we play more than one preseason game. But that I did not see that initial burst that you wanted to see out of him. You didn't see that, James Robinson has, I call James Robinson a bowling ball back. He was 6 for 9 for 1.5 as well, and he didn't really have that burst either. And I've said it before, I thought James Robinson and Eric Gray are very similar in the reference to the type of players they are. So one of them's not making the team, or one of them's ended up on the practice squad. But we got to wait in week 2 to see if Mr. Gray has that burst. And we want to see, like I said, sometimes it's your first game. Sometimes it's nerves. Yeah, you'll have your NFL debut week 1 of the season, but still going out there, even in a preseason game, you're still a little nervous. You're still a little tentative. You got to figure it out a little bit. Cole Beasley and Jamison Crowder both look good. I think Jamison Crowder probably makes this squad over Beasley because he's got more big play potential, and also he can play special teams. Cole looked good against the second and third teamers, 4 catches, 33 yards, but I think that it's such a crowded wide receiver room. I think if I had to choose between Cole Beasley and Jamison Crowder, I'm going to take Crowder. And that's at this point right now. It could change in week 2. But that's something to look at. Tommy DeVito, people are getting all crazy about Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito went 15 for 24 for 155, averages 6.5 yards. Had a touchdown, had an interception, was sacked 5 times, so I have to give that more to the offensive line. But he played mainly against the third and fourth teamers. Let's get him into some higher grade talent. I love the Tyrod Taylor screenshot that people had posted on Twitter. It's him not throwing the ball to Jalen Hyatt, and this is why I call this the great unwashed fans, because the fact that they are so hyped up to see a play to Jalen Hyatt that they don't actually think about football 101. And this is the play that was on about the 30. I think it was the second quarter when Tyrod Taylor was rolling to his right. It was a check down play. It was a screen to his right. Jalen Hyatt was coming across the middle of the field. Now, if you watch the play, Tyrod Taylor's body is going the opposite direction. And Jalen Hyatt's in the middle of the field. And there is a trailer. I believe it's a safety right in front of Jalen Hyatt. So for some of the fans, and these are the unwashed fans, the ones that aren't too brilliant, thinks that it's a good idea to have your quarterback on the run, throw across his body, across the field, to try to get the ball to Jalen Hyatt. And I sit there and I just laugh. Because football 101, the first thing they tell you is any type of quarterback, you never throw across your body. You never throw across your body into the middle of the field. I don't care if it's preseason. I don't care if it's training camp. It's called repetition. And people are like, well, it's preseason. They should just air it out. No, dummies. This is repetition. This is muscle memory. This is how you understand the play. This is how you diagnose the play. You don't take 3 points off the board when you have Graham Gano. Daniel Jones got paid $40 million a year making these checkdown plays, making these designed checkdown plays. And people are judging Tyrod Taylor off of 2 series and 4 passes because of the fact that he did not throw it across the field with a trailing defender, and he had a guy. It was a designed play. It was designed. The Giants ran this play numerous times last year. But people are so hyped up to see Jalen Hyatt, they would rather make a bad football play than they would make the correct play. Yeah, just makes your head hurt sometimes. Let's see. Mr. Banks looked good yesterday, not today. Mr. Banks looked good. He was good positionally in coverage. He did get burned on that one play that was dropped, but that's all right. He was still in a good position to make the play at the end. So I think he had a very good debut. Mr. Hawkins was busy with his 5 tackles, and 4 of those were solo. He got mixed up in one coverage where he let his man go, and he actually went into a double coverage with another defender, and he left his man wide open. But again, that's something he's going to learn. This is week 1. It was like I said, it was a good debut for him. It was week 1. It was a good debut. And like I said, I think I don't know if he's a starter yet. I don't know if he's got this, the starter moniker yet, because the fact there's only been 1 game. We got to see a little bit more. The linebackers. Oh, also a big shout out to Jason Pincock and Dane Belton. Both had interceptions. Both played well. Those 2 are making the roster. One of them is going to start. I think Jason will probably end up starting alongside Xavier McKinney. The linebacking situation, Anthony Barr, are you out there? But I think Anthony Barr turned down the opportunity to meet with the Giants. He was supposed to come in, but I think he turned us down. The linebackers, we just need to figure it out. We need to figure it out quick. Because of the fact that if this is our backups, and we're playing against their backups in Detroit, and we did not play well. That's just not. Carter Coughlin was active with 5 tackles, but he looked slow. Cam Brown, same thing, had 4 tackles, 3 solo, but again, he looked a little slow to the ball. They're making too many they're just it's just not right. It's just and Detroit ran the ball 33 times. I was shocked by that. 33 times for only 97 yards, 2.9. But I think that had a lot more to do with the defensive line. The defensive line played well in spurts. I'm not going to be overly concerned about that right now, but I do think the linebacking core needs to step up a little bit. We need to figure something out. Maybe we do something like we did a couple years back where we had Peppers and McKinney play in the majority of the time in the box. So kind of a quasi-safety linebacker position. Maybe Wink does something like that. But over and all, like I said, it's the Giants lost the game 21-16. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I'm not one of these believers that in preseason, this is for people to shine. This is for people to see, to see what they can do. I'd like to see more out of Cordell Flott. I think actually Trey Hawkins, Mr. Lovins III, Hawkins III, outplayed Cordell Flott. And like I said, I'm just curious. I'm curious to see where we go from here. I love how people are already talking about Alex Cook. And Alex Cook, I think he had 7 tackles yesterday. It's against the Home Depot guys. Come on, guys. He played towards the end of the game. He played the second half. But I think we're going to get a better understanding and a better idea next week when we hit Carolina. When Carolina comes into town. So like I said, I'm not going to get too high off of this. I'm not going to get too low of this. Eric Gray does look a little slow of foot, but like I said, maybe it was just first-time jitters. Maybe he just needs to be more decisive. Maybe he's like I said, maybe he's like James Robinson. He's more of a bowling ball back. You got to get him rolling downhill. So we have to wait and kind of see with that. Like I said, Banks played well. Hawkins played well. The guys you want to, JMS played well. The guys you want to see play well played well. It just shows that we have a little bit of a lack of depth issue that we're going to need to kind of address. And a lot of that can also be addressed on the final cutdowns. I don't like this thing now with the CBA where we only have 1 cutdown. Because I just want to, you can still cut Matt. You can still cut Cunningham, but I just want to cut those guys now. Could we just leave them? Could we just leave them in Detroit? I'm tired of both of them. But we do need to start scanning the waiver wire for linebacker help and offensive line help because it's you're always an injury away from playing. That's what they always tell you in football. So we'll have a big stream on Sunday with R0B recapping the entire New York Giants Detroit Lions preseason game. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And again, don't forget to like, don't subscribe, don't forget to ring that bell because you want to know why? That'd be awesome.